What's up, everybody? Tony Cutillo show here live, and listen. We just watched a masterclass. We just watched a masterclass of Andy Reid, a Hall of Fame GOAT. Right? We just watched it, and I'll tell you what. How many more people were invested in a 19-17 game than a 44-42 game? And that's what I want to say. Like, honestly, Tony Cotillo show, make sure you're live and you're listening, you're subscribed, you hit that like button like we always do. We were live earlier. We're going to continue to be live. Listen, Tony Cotillo show, what I do is we pop on from time to time. And it's not just always the same time. We pop on from time to time because that's what we want to do. Okay. We want to talk about the stories. We want to talk about the news. Okay. We want to react. And this is the Kansas City Masterclass led by Andy Reid. Like I keep saying that. And again, I know not a lot of people may agree with that because they may be like, man, this was boring, right? May say this was boring. But I'm gonna tell you something. This was not boring. This was far from boring. Like I was watching this and I was saying to myself, what is the reason why? Like, what is the reason why we see a 19-17 game and we should be in awe? And it's because we've heard the narrative by all these national pundits out there that say the Chiefs are the luckiest team in the NFL. And I completely disagree. I do. I honestly 100% disagree. And I'll tell you why. Like I don't think the Chiefs are the luckiest team in the NFL. I don't think just because they had a bank shot field goal that hit off the upright and went in that they were the luckiest team in the NFL. I don't think because they take a practice squad kicker, sign him, and put him in, and he hits 3 straight field goals a night. I don't think that's why they're the luckiest team in the NFL. Right? I don't look at that. I look at that as coaching. We've talked about coaching all around the NFL. I've talked about this a couple weeks ago, how I honestly feel that we are looking at a revolution, so to speak, a changing of the guard, where we're going with the veteran coaches more than we're going with the young, shiny toy. And I keep saying this time in and time out that when you have a Hall of Fame certified coach that always has his team prepared, that always has them up for the challenge. Like little simple things, like just special teams. Watching a team that Andy Reid knows is struggling offensively for whatever reason it is. They struggle offensively in the passing game. Whether it's people are understanding the plays a little more now, maybe Patrick Mahomes is being called on to a little bit more. Maybe they have an issue with the offensive line, whatever it is. Okay. Whatever it is, it's happening. He knows it's happening. But the issue to me, and the reason why I say that this is very, very unique, is because you're watching a coach understand the limitations of his team and put them in the proper position. And that doesn't happen all the time, but it's happening right now. The Chiefs win their 9th straight AFC West title. 9 straight. And if we just break this down from, a statistical standpoint, okay, looking at the summary, obviously, you look at the game of Justin Herbert on the Charger side. And I got to give props out to Justin Herbert. Now, he didn't hit my prop of over 32 and a half attempts. That's just because the defense of the Chargers couldn't get the Chiefs off the field in the final 6 minutes. But again, very solid game. 21-30, 213 and a touchdown, no interceptions. While he was getting absolutely destroyed. Like legitimately was getting destroyed. That's why I said, like, it is crazy to me that this guy in Justin Herbert just stands there and takes a pounding week in and week out. And that's what he does. And he just stands there and takes it, right? So shout out to Justin Herbert for just continuing to show that he's a tough guy and he's not Kirk Cousins 2.0. And then you go to the other quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, very pedestrian numbers, right? 24, 37, 210 and a touchdown. Sure, no interceptions. But again, 24, 37. I'm not jumping for joy over that, right? Isaiah Pacheco gets back in the mix a little more. Yards per carry drops last week from 5 to 3.9, 14 for 55. And then they add in some Kareem Hunt who gets 5. So I think that's, you saw it. I talked about that earlier, on the show, when on the betting show, when we talked about how this is now becoming more and more Pacheco's team again. The more he gets acclimated back from injury, the more touches he's going to get. So I think you're going to see Pacheco get anywhere from 18 to 20 and Kareem Hunt get anywhere from 5 to 8. I mean, that's the way it's going to go. Kareem Hunt will be active in the passing game. Samaje Perine. Did anybody see Samaje Perine just get completely lit up? Like legitimately get completely lit up. Like on a pass protection. I kind of felt like, wow, this dude just got completely lit up, man. Like it is what it is, but I'm just saying, I felt bad for the guy, right? I felt bad for the guy because it was just in there trying to do his job, right? It was just in there trying to do his job, but he got completely destroyed. Now, if you're checking in live on YouTube, if you're checking in live on X or wherever you're checking in, make sure you get over to that YouTube page, Tony Cutillo Show. Make sure you subscribe, like the channel. Listen, I told you before, I started a few weeks ago. I wanted to rebuild. I want to build something organically, something that I could finally just call my own, something I could say, this is me, man. This is me. And again, this is what we like to do. This is what we like to do. Let's talk about it. What do you think? Do you think the Chiefs are the luckiest team in the NFL? I beg to differ. Okay. Looking down these reception numbers, this is a masterclass. So the masterclass is knowing right now that you only have one guy, in my opinion, on the Chiefs that can go long, and that's Xavier Worthy. But he's not ready yet. He's not ready yet. He's more of that Tyreek Hill kind of guy at the moment when Tyreek Hill's not going long. Meaning he's a guy that's going to get that sweep over the middle of the field. Get him on the run, get that big yak. That's what Xavier Worthy is right now. But the thing, Xavier Worthy is the guy that's going to go for a 50-yard bomb in the air and kind of out muscle coverage for the catch. It's not going to happen. And that's why you're seeing what you're seeing right now is there actually is no deep threat, right? The biggest yards per catch tonight was Juju Smith-Schuster at 15 and a half, which is insane to me. Okay. But that's because he was just finding a soft zone in the coverage that was breaking down more often than not for the Chargers. That honestly, not used to seeing, right? We're not used to seeing that. But everybody got involved. 5 catches for Kelsey, 5 for Worthy, 4 for D-Hop, 2 for Juju, 4 for Noah Gray. Pacheco got a couple. Kareem Hunt got one. Samaje Perine got one. It's just the way the Chiefs are trying to win football games this year. And it's going to have to be one on the defensive side of the ball and for special teams. And their special teams was fantastic, right? It was fantastic. 4-4. Matthew Wright comes again. Andy Reid is so known for bringing people out of the unknown off practice squads and making them a legitimate kicker. David Akers. I mean, do you have to say anything else, right? I'm not saying Matthew Wright's David Akers because obviously once what do you call it? Their kicker comes back. Why I'm losing his name? Harrison Bunker, right? Once he comes back, Matthew Wright's back to the practice squad. But again, to be able to come up tonight in a big game situation where your offense only scores 1 touchdown and you have to kick 4 field goals, that just proves that this team is coached the right way, right? Look at the punting. Arisia, again, like Andy Reid with the punters, right? He always has a good punter. Remember when he brought back Sean Landetta, right? Always has good punters, man. Along at 59, an average of 52. I ain't going to get it on the 1 to 2 yard line with ease, man. Huge. Listen, tons of sacks. tons of sacks, right? Tons of sacks. Nick Bolton gets a sack. Wharton gets 2 sacks, right? Again, lots of hits on Justin Herbert. Lots of hits. Now, when you go to the other side, listen, I am not going to sell the Chargers short. I am not. Right? I'm going to look at again what they were able to do with what they had. My man says, Curious says, love your approach. So happy for the fresh start. They're playing with fire, but it's by design. I agree, man. Yo, thank you for one. My man says, I got you with the sub. They are dope with the time management. My man, Trayvon the Dragon, my man, I appreciate it. Closing out games, but that man, Isaiah Pacheco, is so nasty in the run game. I'll tell you what, man. Honestly, Trayvon, I slept on Pacheco a couple years ago. I always thought this guy with a very low yards per carry was never going to be that big time running back, that big bell cow, because Andy Reid doesn't always have a bell cow, right? And I wasn't positive that he was going to be it. And I'll tell you what, man, he has really grown into that role. And watching how hard he runs, like, that's the thing, man. It's like shot out of a cannon. And he's very physical, very, very physical. And listen, he's playing with a couple screws and a plate in his leg, for Christ's sake, right? I mean, this guy just wants it. And, here's the thing. This is what Andy Reid brings to a football team. And that's why I say a Kansas City masterclass led by Andy Reid. This is what he does. And this is why I'm so hell-bent on the veteran coaches. And listen, I don't want to take anything away from the Chargers, man. Honestly, I get they lost the game. I understand they gave away a lead. I understand that. But, they're playing number one without J.K. Dobbins, right? They're playing without their number one receiver, even though he's a rookie in Ladd McConkey. And they still had guys step up. Joshua Palmer stepping up, 6 for 78, who we hit the plus money bet on tonight, by the way, on the plus money prop train, over 3.5 plus 102, or actually plus 105, courtesy ESPN bet. Stone Smart coming out of nowhere to 18 yards per catch, 3 of 54 once Will Dissly goes down, right? Stone Smart steps in. Quentin Johnson, who has had multiple games with drops and hard times to hold on to the ball, steps up, 5 of 48. I mean, you look at this and you just go down and say, wow. Now, I will say this. I really think that they are missing out with using Darius Davis in a different way. I look at him as, kind of like the Khalil Shakir role. My man Albert checking in. Yo, what is up, my man? He says it kills you to think that Andy Reid went to interview with the Bears and he left Philly and the Bears didn't even interview him. I didn't know that. I did not know that he went. Listen, you know what? That's all about the hunt culture in Kansas City, man. The Hunts, they knew, right? They knew who they wanted. They knew 100% that Andy Reid was their guy. And they knew they were going to get Andy in before anybody else. And they weren't going to let him leave the building, right? They knew, you know what? Because the lineage of the Kansas City Chiefs is one of those teams that is very prideful in their culture and their representation. And when you have names like a Dick Vermeil, a Marty Schottenheimer, right? When you have those kind of names, it signifies greatness. They say what you want about Schottenheimer, dude, but he was a hell of a coach. Right? So, they've always had these mainstays for years. And they knew not only would Andy be the mainstay, but he would bring other guys in to be the mainstay as well. Guys like Mike Kafka, who I'm not a huge fan of, right? But listen, he does understand how to call offensive game. Steve Spagnuolo, Hall of Fame defensive coordinator, just gets it done. I mean, how many people watch that game from beginning to end? And at the beginning, when they go through all the starters and, they talk about their name, where they're from, how many knew more than 5 guys on that Chiefs team? Honestly, Like how many watched that was like, oh man, I know him. Because I'm telling you right now, unless you are a Kansas City Chiefs reporter, unless you are a journalist, unless you are a Kansas City podcaster, unless you are a Kansas City lifer, you didn't know those guys, man. You knew a few, right? You knew a few. You didn't know those guys. And again, masterclass. Once again, masterclass by Andy Reid. And I just keep saying this because you look on the other side at Jim Harbaugh, another guy who's, in my opinion, a Hall of Fame coach. We talked about this year in and year out. Once he would come to a team, whatever team he was going to go to, he was going to change the narrative, change the culture, change the entire landscape of the offensive philosophy. And he just pounds and pounds and pounds, right? So you talk about, again, and they didn't even have the ball. Let me see what the time possession was tonight. I'm curious what this time of possession was because, I'm looking at it. I'm going, at the end of the day, let's see. So if you go by time of possession here, it was actually almost dead on, right? The Chiefs had it for 30 minutes, 53 seconds, or at 29 minutes and 7 seconds, and the Chargers at 30 minutes and 53 seconds. That's interesting to me. But here's where you win games and where you lose games, right? You win games when you do the little things, the intangibles. I talked about the punting game earlier. Punt average for the Chargers, 42.6. The punt average for the Chiefs, 51.8. Special teams. That's where you win ball games, right? That's where you win ball games. To be honest with you, everything was kind of the same. Now, 7 penalties versus 8 for the Chiefs, but the 8 were for 98 yards, but they still won. Okay? They still won. That's the thing. Like, it's just crazy it's crazy to me to see exactly how this all played out. And it just shows, again, that this was a will to win, right? This was a will to win. And each one of these teams with some very, very long drives towards the end, man. Like, if you look at the fourth quarter, the last 2 plays for each team, how about and this was the difference right here. And again, Steve Spagnuolo, right? You have the Chargers, 14 plays for 57 yards, 8 minutes and 23 seconds to get down there and only get a field goal. That is Steve Spagnuolo. Steve Spagnuolo, that was the defining drive of the game because then you give it back to the Chiefs and they hold it for 4 minutes and 35 seconds and never let you get the ball back and win the game. See, that's where the intangibles are to me, right? When you have a Hall of Fame defensive coordinator, a Hall of Fame coaching staff, people could say you're lucky all you want. It's not luck, man. It's understanding the limitations of your game and your team and doing the little things it takes to win ball games. It's very, very simple, right? It's very, very simple. Now, if you want to look at, again, looking on the Charger side, you look at, they got the Patrick Mahomes, right? They had three sacks for the team. A lot of tackles for a loss. They did things the right way. They had a lot of contribute. Even DJ Chark got into the game and contributed, right? I haven't seen DJ Chark in a long time. Went through a rigorous ankle rehab, right? Signed a 1-year, $3 million deal, to be a part of a winning culture and an organization that was turning it around. So, now you look at the standings, right? And listen, the Chiefs obviously 12-1, and then Chargers outside with Denver for second place in the AFC West. And the Denver, again, I keep saying this, man, the Denver Broncos, you look at those 3 teams in the AFC West, and what's the first thing that stands out to you? I'll tell you what stands out to me first and foremost is the coaching, right? That's what stands out to me right off the bat. I look at all 3 of these teams, and I say to myself, Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, Andy Reid. Is there another division in the NFL that has 3 Hall of Fame coaches? No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, Pittsburgh. Yeah, guess what? They have Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh. That's it. Sorry, Zach Taylor, not you. Sorry, Kevin Stefanski, not you. AFC South, right now, nobody, right? Look at the AFC East. Sean McDermott, maybe one day. I've said this all along that Sean McDermott is one of the most overlooked coaches in the NFL. Nobody ever talks about him. All he does is win. By the way, Buffalo clinches the playoff berth. 10-3, AFC East. Boom. Right? Sorry, the rest of those three teams, nah, not seeing it. Right? Then you go to Philadelphia in the NFC East. How many Hall of Fame coaches in the NFC East? None. Go to NFC North. How many Hall of Fame coaches in the NFC North right now? None. NFC South. How many? None. NFC West. Could be a couple. Could be a couple. I will say that. Sean McVay could get there one day. Kyle Shanahan could get there one day. But for right now, when you look at the AFC West, man, that's where all the big time coaching lives. And that's why that division is no joke. And I'm excited to see what it brings. Right? I really am. I'm extremely excited because, I was always a Sean Payton guy. Said that before. Say again, it had to get him a year in order to obviously get his take and his scheme and his players and everything he wanted to put in place. He needed a year to do it. And you look at the other end, with the Chargers, we knew when they were going to hire Harbaugh, he was going to come in and he was going to flip the script a little bit. A team that really lost their offensive identity. And he was going to bring in that pound and ground culture, right? You pick up a couple guys off the scrap heap, for Christ's sake, right? With J.K. Dobbins, who luckily no big damage. He will come back this year when he's ready. And Gus Edwards, another guy. And then you draft Vidal, and now you have a three-headed monster, so to speak. Nobody that's going to blow you away, but guys are going to get positive yards and get it done. And then you're going to develop a quarterback in Justin Herbert, who you knew always had the skill, always had the arm, always had the speed, just didn't have the accuracy, didn't have the acumen. And what does he do? He did the same thing. He did the same thing with Colin Kaepernick, and he's doing it again. He is like the quarterback whisperer. I say it all the time. He really is. He's like the quarterback whisperer. So I love watching this play out. I really do. But right now, I'm looking at a masterclass by Andy Reid. I'm looking at these Kansas City Chiefs that say they're winning games by any means necessary. Any means necessary. Just think about playing the Chiefs in a one-game playoff. You don't want to play them, man. Like I say all the time, why would you want to play them? Because one of these games, it's all going to click in the right area. It's all going to click because the game planning by their head coach is second to none. And with a defense and a defensive head coach, but a defensive coordinator that they have in Spagnuolo, that team is always going to be in games. It's always going to have opportunities, man. It's always going to have opportunities. So I'm excited, man. I had a great day of football. I hope you had a great day of football. I watched so many tremendous plays. I did watch that Rams and Buffalo game, and oh my God, like it was just an absolute shootout. Puka Nacua is an absolute stud. Again, McVay just does things in that offense that some people could only dream of. Matthew Stafford, again, completely disrespected every single year in the NFL, just continues to get it done, continues to play spot on quarterback all the time. There's so many things that we could talk about from the NFL. And, I just know that a lot of people were spinning that luckiest team narrative. I'm not doing it, man. Okay? I'm not doing it. Andy Reid is a Hall of Fame coach. He's pushing the right buttons at the right time. So everybody checking in, man. We appreciate Curious Sports Pulse Media, as always, my man. He says, are the Rams a legitimate playoff threat in your opinion? I'll be honest, man. Like, Sean McVay is one of my dudes. Like, I look at that NFC West and I say it's completely up for grabs. I think one of the biggest frauds in the NFC is the Seattle Seahawks. I'll say it. I don't think the Seattle Seahawks are a team that's going to give you anything. I think they're a team that has pulled out some wins at very good times. But if you ask me who would give me more of a threat, would it be the Rams or the Seahawks? I would say the Rams. And if you look at, how that tree's going to work, right? Obviously, you have Detroit 12-1, right? Philly 11-2, both of those clinched, obviously. Minnesota 11-2. Nobody's even talking about Minnesota, right? Hey, that's a crazy thing to me. Nobody's talking about Minnesota, and Kevin O'Connell doing a hell of a job out there with a repurposed Sam Darnold and a defense that's been leaking oil from time to time and still finding ways to get it done. Green Bay, I'm a big Matt LaFleur guy. I don't know if Jordan Love has it, man, this year. I don't. I don't, maybe Jordan Love could just be a numbers guy, right? Honestly, I'm not sure. So, yes, to get back to your question, I really do think they are a legitimate threat, not only to make the playoffs, but when you have a coach who, I say this a lot. You hear me because you could tell that I'm really big on head coaches and their schemes. And just again, take for instance, okay, let's do this. Take Tampa Bay at 7-6. And I respect the hell out of Todd Bowles. I do. And take Sean McVay and the Rams at 7-6. And if I had to pick one of those teams to go into the playoffs and say play a Minnesota and be able to scheme against them the right way, I'm taking McVay all day. I don't care about the players. I'm taking the coach. I'm taking McVay all day because he can honestly, he could just on the fly, he could scheme an offensive play set to go against any defense in the National Football League. He's that intelligent. He's that smart. And, and he studies the game. He's a student of the game. And that's what I love about it. Like, did you watch that play when he ran that jet sweep to Puka Nacua and they called timeout? And they were like, everybody's like, oh my God, why did they call timeout? They were going to score. Dude, he is so meticulous. He saw one little thing out of place. And even though the other teams or in the Bills saw it, he ran it again right after the timeout, just making sure he tweaked it just a little bit to make it perfect in order to score. That's what Sean McVay is, right? That's who Sean McVay is. So, yes, to answer your question, 100%, I think not only can they make the playoffs, they have a legitimate shot, but they are a legitimate threat. They are a legitimate threat. When, again, just looking at it, who would you rather have leading a team in the playoffs? Would you feel more comfortable with Matthew Stafford or Geno Smith? Right? Very simple. Would you feel more comfortable with Kyron Williams or Kenneth Walker or Matt Charbonnet, Zach Charbonnet? I'm taking Kyron Williams. Would you want JSN and DK Metcalf, or would you want Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp? Right, and not to mention a very, very good presence in DeMarcus Robinson and Tutu Atwell. I like, and that's the thing. Like, they have so many weapons on this team. So yeah, I like the Rams. I've always liked the Rams. Defensively, listen, they don't have the defense they once had, right? But in time, can they get there? We shall see. But it's a good question, man. I do think they're a legitimate threat. I think these playoffs are going to be very, very interesting in the NFC. I do. I because everybody's just catapulting the Eagles and the Lions right up the top. And both teams, even though I'm a Philly guy, both teams do have some issues. But, I look at it like, honestly, who else is there, right? So it's going to be, who's going to play up to that spot. And that's where I'm curious about. What are those games below those two teams going to be like? Right? Now, when you flip over to the AFC, again, that AFC West completely up for grabs, right? And a lot of really good teams. Who really is Baltimore? Who really is Pittsburgh? They're questions you have to ask yourself. Right? Now, and again, it comes down to quarterback, and all these teams have a legitimate quarterback, veteran quarterback who's done it before. Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson. You saw Josh Allen, 6 touchdowns and still loses, right? So again, you look at that. CJ Stroud, former MVP candidate, right? And then you look at Denver, comes back to them, and you got possibly the offensive rookie of the year, or rookie of the year. Who knows? Could it be Jaden Daniels, or does it now slide to Bo Nix? And I'll tell you what, if Bo Nix were to win that award, I'm a Bo Nix guy, by the way. You really need to make a statue of Sean Payton. Like, I'll be honest with you. If Bo Nix wins that award, Sean Payton needs to be a statue and needs to be out everywhere and anytime, or I should say, anytime and anywhere he's coached. You got to have a statue of Sean Payton. I'm being honest, man, because if he turns Bo Nix into the offensive rookie of the year, when everybody was talking about Jaden Daniels and everybody was jumping on that train, dude just proved his worth, man. He proved his Hall of Fame status. He really did. But it's going to be wild. What's going to be wild is the Tony Cutillo show here. So just real fast, before I get out of here, I appreciate everybody checking in. Appreciate everybody subbing and liking the new YouTube page. Like I said, it's going to be a ride. Okay, it's going to be a ride. Monday nights, 3-hour show, always going to be live, remote from Pike's Pub in Bucks County in Pennsylvania. Multiple guests, friends of the program, a lot of good sports talk. And then throughout the week, different segments, different stuff, rapid reactions on certain topics that come up. I haven't decided yet, to be honest with you, if I want to do a consistent daily show at one specific time, because again, I think there's so many shows that do that. I like to kind of break it up. Like this. I want to hop on, talk about it, right? My man Albert. Albert, I'll be checking you out, buddy. I'm gonna give you a text this week and see if we can hop on a phone possibly. I got a couple questions for you and just want to see how you're doing as always, man. See what's going on. I appreciate the support as always. That my man coming over from, supporting me from the Win Daily days, right? Coming in, of somebody that I've developed a friendship with. Like I said, getting on my Discord. If you're not in the Discord yet, make sure you get in the Discord. And again, you get that by signing up on the sports betting page. Okay. Again, like I have to say it every time, right? If you want to sign up, very, very simple. We're doing some big things. And like I say all the time, it's nothing that's going to break your pocket. It's really not. And everything I do is 100% transparent. Okay. So, this is my sports betting page from Odd Shopper. Okay. It's on a tails page. This is who I am. This is my real picture. That's who I am. Right. We got the jigsaw pieces. Okay. Which is, 5 a week or 15 a month. That's going to get you daily parlays. It's going to get you daily picks. Okay. Pick'ems, everything, man. Right here. Player props, parlays, prize picks, underdog futures, you name it. And then you got the plus money prop train. If you just want plus money props, I drop about 3 to 5 daily. And again, I say this all the time. If you hit 1 or 2 of these, it's going to give your money back already. You have the rest of the month. So I will not kid you. I'm not sitting here saying I am a professional capper, but I will tell you that I'm very good at what I do. Okay. I'm honest. I'm very good at what I do. I spend a lot of time. I've been doing sports my entire life. Okay. There's a reason why I could go over and run a 2-hour show on Sirius with no notes. It's what I can do because I've been around, I've seen it, and I see things in a different lens. So it does work sometimes it doesn't work, right? Again, it doesn't matter, but this is where I'm at. This is what you want, and this is where I'm going to be. And as always, make sure you subscribe and to the YouTube channel. Lots of big things to the YouTube channel coming up. Lots of different people jumping on. Lots of exclusive interviews. Okay. Again, I'm creating something a little different. Right. I want to bring you guys and girls people that you possibly don't know. And it's no disrespect to the other people, but they've already heard those people. I want other people's perspective. Right. I want a different perspective. My man Joe reached out to me privately, was like, yo, I got a guest for you, man. Again, I'm not going to say the name, but amazing. Used to be an NBA official. You're going to know who he is once he comes on the show. Again, different types of guests. So as always, man, appreciate everybody's support. I'm going to go check the bets we have for the day, tally them all up, get ready for tomorrow. Like it is Monday night. We'll have Monday Night Football. Actually, I'm actually off tomorrow night from Pikes because I get one Monday off a month. So I will hop on tomorrow night. We will do a Monday Night Football breakdown from a betting and a fantasy perspective right here on the Tony Cutillo Show. So everybody have a fantastic evening. It's Monday morning. Get to work safe. As always, stay safe and stay healthy. And we'll catch you back here.